We remember today. All right. So, 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it a truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right. And so today, for our inspirational message, I'd like to welcome up Dominique Clemens.
All right, you all better sit down. As much as I hate to admit it, I am a politician and we do like to talk. So I wanted to share with you all a little bit of a story. Some of you may have heard it before, but I think it's really applicable. A gentleman was walking through an elephant camp and he spotted that the elephants weren't being kept in cages and they weren't being held by chains. All that was holding them back from escaping the camp was a small piece of string tied to one of their legs. As the man gazed upon the elephants, he was completely confused as to why the elephants didn't just use their strength and power to break the string and escape the camp. They could easily have done so, but instead they didn't try at all. Curious and wanting to know the answer, he asked a trainer nearby why the elephants were just standing there and never tried to escape. The trainer replied, "When they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size string to tie them, and at that age, it's enough to hold them back. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe that they can't break away from that string. They believe the string can hold them, so they never try to break free. The only reason the elephants weren't breaking free and escaping from the camp was that over time, they adopted the belief that it just wasn't possible. So no matter how much the world tries to hold us back, always continue with the belief that what you want to achieve is possible. Believing you can become successful is the most important step in actually achieving it." So I ask you all, Rotarians, what is your string that's holding you back? Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. That is a powerful question indeed, and one that I invite you to think about and converse about over lunch. So please enjoy your lunch. We'll get started in a few minutes. Folks on Zoom, I'll go ahead and set up a breakout room for you, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you. Welcome back from lunch, everybody. Please continue eating if you haven't had a chance to finish yours yet. We want to welcome you back from lunch and just share a couple of announcements here. So one of the things that you heard about last week when we had our committee presentation was that the administration committee is working on various social activities so that we can do various things together outside of our weekly gatherings. And so we have the chance to ride on the coattails of the Sunrise Rotary Club. But they're actually going to be organizing a kayaking trip down the Flint River. And as Patrick shared last week, we had a chance to register for that too. So if you are interested, it's going to be on Thursday, August 11th, and it's going to be in the early evening. And so it's an informal sort of thing, very family friendly. So if you are interested in bringing along a family member, then that's absolutely fine. We just ask that you please email either Carl Olmsted or Jim Milanowski from the Greater Flint Sunrise Club so that they know that you're planning to attend and that they can follow up with you on any of those logistical details. Yes, Jim.
I read in the news that that class activity is going to change because of the pollution that was in the river. So it's not actually going to be kayaking, it's going to be some other activity.
I think that was with the Flint River Flotilla, which I believe this is the week following. And as far as I knew from Al Tucker, that they were still on for that, but I will double check with Al. just to make sure.
You have to have your own kayak.
You do not have to have your own kayak. No. All right. And the other opportunity that I wanted to let you all know about is a service opportunity. And this is something that is throughout our Area 7, that the clubs have been collaborating for the last several years on the Crim Rotary Mile. And I know that Brian Sanderson's already been very involved with kind of the planning of that and bringing his talents to bear on that. And so that's going to be during the morning of the Crim on August 27th. It's a Saturday. If you are somebody who is eager to get your service in bright and early, I can actually say that Mike Chafee hosts a wonderful breakfast, and he makes it feel that 6:30 is not actually as early as that. So he'll feed you well. He's promised a Bloody Mary bar, if that's your cup of tea, so to speak. And you're pretty much done with your service then by noon. So if you're not running or walking in the Crim, this is a great way to be involved. It's actually a lot of fun. Last year, what they had us doing was essentially after breakfast, we fanned out to intersections in that neighborhood and made sure that cars didn't try to drive on the course, and then spent the rest of the time cheering for folks. So it's a good time. There is an online registration for that. I've got the link there. There was also the link in your weekly email. I'll make sure it's in there next week as well. So if you're available that morning, please sign up, and we would love to have your help with the Crim Rotary Mile. So I want to introduce something that I hope is going to be a little bit fun. We know that our club has various jokesters, pranksters, tricksters, what have you. So this is an opportunity to channel some of that humor into a periodic joke duel. And so depending on the level of interest we have from willing participants, we'll see how extensive we want to make this. But there's an opportunity that you can either volunteer if you would like to be part of this joke pool group, this joke duel group, or you can nominate someone that you think is funny in the club and that might have a good joke to tell. And so depending on how many folks are interested in this, we'll set it up kind of like a tournament bracket sort of thing. And give people, now it's a duel. You got one shot at your joke. So you got to make sure that if you're going for it, that it's got to be a good joke. We just want, nothing disparaging, which I'm sure I wouldn't have to say because we're Rotarians, but you'll have one joke to tell, paired up against somebody else, and the winner advances. So again, you can volunteer yourself, you can nominate somebody else. I just ask that you please contact me with your nomination or volunteering by the end of this month, so that by the end of July, we'll have a sense of how many people are interested. Now, whether you're participating as a dueler or not, you will have a chance to be involved. So we're going to know who wins the joke duel of that week based on your contribution. So we'll have red cups on the table, one with each dueler's name, and whoever's joke you like best, you put your dollar in the cup and they get your vote. Those who are participating on Zoom, this is going to be a way for us to also pilot some of that cashless giving, or if you're somebody who just doesn't carry cash with you, you still want to participate, you can. And the way that you'll be able to do that is through our website. If you go to our homepage on the website, flintrotary.org, there's a donate here PayPal button. You can click on that. Now, in order for this to work smoothly, you do need a PayPal account. So if you don't have one already, you want to participate in a cashless way, you can just still click on the PayPal button and it'll walk you through the steps to set up your account. Basically, you connect it to your credit card so that when you want to have a PayPal transaction, it just bills your credit card. So you'll log in, you'll be sending money to the Rotary Club of Flint Charitable Foundation. And the important part is going to be basically the memo line. What is this payment for? You vote for the joke you like. So Elizabeth's joke or Fred's joke or whoever's joke. All right. So if anybody is not familiar with PayPal and you want like a one-on-one tutorial, just let me know. I'm happy to walk you through it. It's not as hard as it sounds, but that will allow then people remotely to participate real time, as well as anybody in the room who may not carry ones on you. So again, if you're interested or you want to nominate somebody else, let me know by the end of the month and we'll get that set up. Okay. So next I want to invite to the podium Rob Jewell, and I'll just, as he's walking up, kind of preface that with saying that Rob for many years has served as kind of our governance guru, the point person for all things political and civic and whatnot. And so he's going to continue to be playing that role this coming year. And so he'll have a chance to give us a little update in that vein.
You mean this is not the joke time?
You got to sign up first, Rob.
Oh. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the opportunity to continue as our liaison for governance issues. Speaking of governance, 235 years ago, this past Wednesday, July 13th on 1787, the Constitutional Convention met to compose our Constitution. At the same time, Congress, which had been formed under the Articles of Confederation, passed what was known as the Northwest Ordinance. Let me repeat that, the Northwest Ordinance, where the principles and the practices would actually influence our Constitution and our country. So your homework assignment is to go Ogle. You know what go Ogle is? That's called Google. Northwest Ordinance, do read and discover. So as we begin another year of Rotary, we will continue our traditional governance programs in February, which is an opportunity to hear from our chief elected officials from the city of Flint, from the county, from the state, and from the national level. This year is an election year, as you're well aware. A couple of weeks, August, primary, and in November is general. And as citizens, we encourage you to be informed, involved, and to vote. And we also want to thank those members of our club who are actively involved as elected or appointed officials. So we applaud you for your involvement. We do need to be aware for us as Rotarians and for us gathering as Rotarians that per the Rotary bylaws and the Constitution and our four-way test of being fair to all, we as a club need to be sensitive to political involvement. So being nonpartisan and neutral, it's not really our place to be a site for campaigning or for individual preference. However, it is appropriate for us to inform and educate as to the status and process that occurs for our democratic republic. So elections, primary in August. So are you registered to vote? Have you been redistricted? I got from the city of Flint, my voter information card, and I discovered I was redistricted for my county commissioner. So double check if you're not sure where you are. So check with your clerk's office. The ballot, what are the positions, who's running, whether it be on the local, county, state, or federal level, and what are the proposals on the ballot? You can check Genesee County, Michigan, not Genesee County, New York, but Genesee County, Michigan Elections Division. And you can push on the nice little button. It says August 2022 ballot. Pick up all of the positions, all of the candidates throughout the entire county and all of the related proposal language. So again, make use of that. For candidate information, Michigan Live and the League of Women Voters are doing an outstanding job of interviews. You can also go online to the League of Women Voters voter guide. It's called Vote 411. That's vote411.org. You type in your address, it'll pick up what's occurring and so forth. So that's there for you. Again, for candidate information, go to their website's flyer to speak to them directly. General election in November. Again, we encourage you to inform and educate yourself, both to the candidates, the issues, and also the proposals. And due to the variety of races and candidates, it is our intent for a club to continue as we've done in the past to focus on 2 candidate forums in October. One is for the City of Flint mayoral race, and the other is for the Congressional 8th District forum. So again, we'll be working on moving in that direction. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be of support. If there are any questions, concerns, suggestions, Elizabeth has asked that, and the board has asked, just touch base with me and we'll work that through. So again, be informed, be involved, vote, and don't forget your homework assignment. That's Northwest Ordinance. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Rob, and appreciate again your willingness to serve in that capacity. Let's see, any other announcements from the floor? How about any health and welfare updates? Yeah.
Been home since Monday. Started a little bit, but he said he's getting better.
Thanks for that, Nick. For those on Zoom who may not have heard, Fred is home from the hospital. He's still having a couple of challenges, but he's feeling a little bit better. And so thanks, Nick, for that update. Anything else in terms of health and welfare? Okay, any guests to be welcome? I see we have a guest here today, and I see we have Mr. Craig Coney, guest of Lynetta Coney. Glad to have you. Talk to our membership committee.
I'm here for them.
Absolutely. Any guests on Zoom? I don't think we have any on Zoom, so we'll go ahead and proceed to 50-50. And in Fred's place, we have today Jerry Hill, who has assured me that this is going to be a very honest raffle.
Well, I volunteered.
Oh.
I need somebody to help me though. Is there anybody else who has a safety pass?
Who's gonna stir the pot here? Craig, do you want to stir the pot?
Okay. Now we gotta make this thing official and fair. So here we go. We're gonna go for third Friday. Just may hold it up here with me. Okay, reach in there.
Eight, 3, 2, 6, 4.
Well, can you pass this along someplace? No. Here we go. Thank you. That's cool.
8, 3, 2, 7, 8.
Whoa. About time, buddy. All right, first place.
All right, for the big winner here.
8, 3, 2, 2, 9.
Oh, we got Terry Mormon. Okay. Thank you very much for that very honest raffle. All right. Next. So that's going to bring us to our featured guest speaker today. And so I'm going to invite up Lynetta Coney to it's Kyle McCree now. She's standing up. So Kyle can't get enough of the podium here, so he's back up to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, President Elizabeth. I have the privilege of introducing our guest speaker today. I can't find Hank because I'm not president anymore, so I'm gonna let that go. Linnell Jones McKinney is currently serving as the Director of Community Relations at the Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village, a community organization on the north side of Flint that offers both academic and athletic programs to underserved and at-risk youth in our community. Coach McKinney was born and raised in Flint, where she currently resides. Starting off at the young age of 8 years old, it was Coach McKinney's dream to play professional basketball at a time when there were no women's sports available to her. Always wanting to inspire and uplift people in elementary and middle school, she was the first female to play on an all-boys basketball team, leading to age 14, starting a traveling all-star women's basketball team. Coach McKinney's accolades include, but are not limited to, making the final cut in the 1980 Olympics, being drafted in the WBL Professional Basketball League, the first round, being the first female drafted to play professional sports from Flint, the first of 15 Americans to be drafted in the European Women's Professional Basketball League, where she was a 5-time All-Star in Italy, 3-time Most Valuable Player in the European Cup Championship, held a scoring record of 84 points in one game.
Wow.
You have like 20 assists too, and then you're just beating it all. She also is inducted into the National Women's Basketball Hall of Fame as a trailblazer of women's basketball. She's a member of the Greater Flint Area Hall of Fame, the Greater Flint African American Hall of Fame, and the Kentucky State University Hall of Fame. Coach McKinney has always worked diligently to inspire our youth to dream big, having over 40 years as a youth program coordinator and motivational speaker. She hopes to impact the world as she leaves her mark. We're fortunate to have her today as our guest speaker. Coach.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the invite. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to do what I love to do, and that's talk. I also appreciate the fact there's a number of these organizations here that has sponsored our Just Master tournament, so I'd like to say thank you on that as well. So just want to also talk about me being at Sylvester Power Village. It's a 5-year-old program. It started in 2018. Yeah, 2018. And you know, I had went to Miss Mary Razul to tell her that I had a dream. The building had been closed. Dr. Shaw purchased the building for the purpose of distributing water in 2015. And then after that, they decided to have a 501c3 and turn it into a youth club. And so I had been getting back into the community after coming back from overseas and after doing my own nonprofit organization, working with young people doing basketball camps, you know, and training, different things like that. But I wanted to make a bigger impact in the community. So I went to Sylvester Power Village and I told Ms. Mary, like I said, I have it. And she said, let's go. And that's how Sylvester Power Village, we call it the Building of Dreams, now one of the probably the fastest growing youth programs in the Genesee County. Our first summer camp, we had 300 kids to register. We had up to 700 kids on our waiting list. And now we have close to about 30 different organizations that are in-house to provide services and resources for our children. And I think the reason why I wanted to start with that is to let you know what I'm doing now. I'm the community relations director there, but I started the programs, Miss Miriam and I, we started the programs there. And now, after 5 years, and we talk about what's going on in the community. And I know that you guys, because I've heard of, you know, Rotary Club when I was working with Wavy Children's. I started youth programs and after-school programs there for them as well, in the sports program. So I've heard so much about your organization and how well you support the community. And I just want to say hats off to you. And it's so very important to be able to influence and impact and show your support and give your resources to the community. And that's what I'm about. That's what my vision is. That's what my dream is. That's what my heart is. So I always tell my story about when I was a child. And if you look around the community and see what's going on in the community, we got gun violence, we got drugs, we got kids dropping out of school. They got about 17,000 to 18,000 students that live in the city of Flint. Less than 3,000 students go to Flint schools. Less than 5% of our kids in Flint read at grade level. They have about 4,000 students that's displaced. They don't know where they are, whether or not they're not in school, they don't have a job, they're just out there somewhere. Just recently they had a incident where They found some kids 10, 11, and 12 years old. Welcome, Mayor. 10, 11, and 12 years old that were caught selling drugs, and had guns on. So for you to be able to support the community is so valuable. It's so purposeful. So again, I say hats off for what you're doing. Because when I was 6 years old, I had a dream. And I knew at 6 years old that there was something different about my life. There was something different about my life. But at the age of 8 years old, I knew everything that I was going to be doing in my life. I knew everything that I was going to be doing in my life. I was going to play professional basketball. They didn't even have a girls' sports program. So I tried out for the elementary team. I became the first female to play on the boys' basketball team. I made the team, I played, and I started. In middle school, they still didn't have a girls' sports program. By the way, this is the 50th anniversary for Title I, for women playing sports, for women in sports. This year is the 50th anniversary. And when I got to middle school, they still didn't have a girls' sports program. So I tried out for the boys' team in middle school, and I became the first female to make the boys' team in middle school. I played and I started. But of course, some of the guys followed me home and they wanted to jump on me, so I decided. But I also, and then in high school, they started the girls' sports program. So, that's when I became All-City, All-State, All-Valley, All-Conference. And eventually I went to college. My first year, I had to pay my way through school. Second year, I got a partial scholarship. My third year, I eventually got a full ride. And that's when I became two-time All-American. And I tried out for the Olympics in 1980 when they boycotted, but I became the first female out of Flint to make the final cut in the Olympics, but they boycotted that year. That's when one of the committee members of the Olympic team, she came to me and she asked me, "What's your dream?" And that's the reason why I talk to young people about what's your gift, what's your talent, what's your dream. If we could go back to when we were 7, 8, 9, or 10 years old, and we can think about, wow, what is it that I always wanted to become? My granddaughters, they tell me, they say, when I grow up, that's what they've been saying. They're 5 years old. When I grow up, and that's the question that all of us wanted to be able to answer is, when I grow up. And at the age of 8, I knew what I wanted to be, even though they didn't have a girls' sports program. I knew I was going to play professional basketball because that was my dream. And there's something on the inside of us that gives us that desire and that drive to reach for something that's greater than what we see. I didn't see a girls' sports program. It didn't exist. But on the inside of me, that dream and that desire and that hope to be a professional basketball player, it was down on the inside of me. So I worked and I trained and I did everything I could to be the best that I could be. And by the way, CSI invested in the community ed program, in the sports programs. In every school had a brand new gym. All of the parks were accessible for us. So we had that opportunity to develop our craft. It was called community directors, community school directors. And I'm gonna tell you something, those people had a big impact on us during that time. So what I did was I realized my dream because I stayed true to it. Now I was heavily bullied. In elementary school, they bullied me so bad. Look, they bullied me so bad in elementary school. I would go home and practice. I said, you know what, the next time somebody's gonna pick on me or kick me or call me names or tell the teacher that I'm chewing gum, you couldn't chew gum in school back then. Let's tell the teacher I was chewing gum, and I have to stay after school, or they follow me home, pull my hair. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. I was bullied every day. But I always would gaze out that, in particular in my math classes. So when, we had meetings and stuff, and people start asking us, some questions about math, I tip out, because, in elementary school, I was bullied in my math class. And so, but during that time, I would gaze out the window And I would take myself, and you know, I didn't know anything about flying on the aircraft or an airplane or anything, but I would imagine myself traveling around the world, the power of imagination. I would imagine myself traveling around the world playing professional basketball, even though they didn't have a girls' sports program. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Our children might be going through things, but if we can allow them to just imagine, if you could just imagine yourself coming out of drugs, if you could just imagine yourself getting off alcohol, if you could just imagine yourself coming out of poverty, if we could just as a community imagine ourselves being a great place for people to come and say, hey, this is the place that we want to be, the power of imagination. Am I telling the truth? Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Come on now. And so I was imagining myself and traveling around the world playing professional basketball. And when that committee member came to me, she said, what's your dream? Now, all through that being bullied, having to pay my way through school, I held on to my dream. And when she said, what's your dream? What do you think I said? Play professional basketball. I didn't know they had just started a women's professional basketball team. They had just started a women's professional basketball. What if I had gave up? What if I had said, you know, enough is enough, I quit. I held on to my dream. And when she said, when I told her I wanted to play professional basketball, she said, in a week's time, you're going to get a call. In a week's time, I got a call. And it was the St. Louis women's professional basketball coach. And he said, would you like to try out for our team? I said, I'd love to. Wouldn't try it out for the team. And let me backtrack just a little bit. What's my time? 10 minutes, okay. Let me backtrack when I tried out for the Olympic team. When I tried out for the Olympic team, they had 280 something girls that I had to compete against in order that they were only going to choose seven. 7 out of that 287. How are you going to be able to determine how 7 girls out of 280 something girls, what's going to determine how you pick those 7? You have to be the best of the best. You have to be the top of the line. And because I came out of Flint, I knew what it was going to take for me to be one of the best. And that's why I try to inspire people, young people, be your best. Don't be mediocre. Don't do anything. They wanted me to play volleyball. I said, no, I can't play volleyball because I can't be the best. But I'm saying, young people, when I talk to them, be your best. Don't settle for anything less. And so they took 7 girls out of that 280 something, and they brought in the 20 All-Americans. So 27, and then they picked 15 out of those 27. I was one of those 15. That's when I became the first female from Flint to make the final cut of the Olympic team, but they boycotted that year. So I got drafted to play with the St. Louis Street that year, first round, 4th pick, became the first female out of Flint to play professional basketball. So that year, that league folded, got another call from the same lady, and they need 15 Americans. She said, we want 15 Americans to travel here to play in the European League. And this is why I talk to young people. Your character is going to say a lot about you. You never know who's watching you. When they're out on the basketball court, when we working with them up there, Sylvester doing college, this is what we call a program called Character Counts. Because you never know who's watching you. They're watching you when you're on the court. They're watching you when you leave the court. They're watching you at the dinner table. They're watching your every move. And when they see that you have character, you have great character, and that you're developing not just your skill, but you're also developing the person that you want to become to help make this world a better place. So after they where was that? So after they chose me to be one of the first of the 15 Americans to travel to Europe, that's where my career it just skyrocketed. So when I first got there, you know, the second year they built a brand new arena in my honor. And then I held a score record of 84 points in one game. I was most valuable player over there. And now they have what they call the Linnell Jones McKinney Day. and they bring me back for a whole week to celebrate Linnell Jones McKinney. But it's because of the dream. It's because of the desire to be the best. It's because I didn't give up on my dream. And that's why I work with young people. I've been working with young people since I was in middle school. That was the first program I started in middle school. Because I want young people to know that you can do whatever you want to do in life. No matter what's going on in the world, no matter what's going on in the community, you can be the best of the best if you hold on to your dreams. And if you have that desire to train and to develop your craft, you also have to develop your skills. And when I came back from overseas, playing in the European League, I hit the ground and I started working with it. Because that's another one of my desires. To give young people an opportunity to realize their truth. Especially now. Our young people go through so much. They're hurt, they're traumatized. They don't see themselves outside of this arena. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help our young people understand and realize, provide for them resources, not just resources, but provide for them people to come in and mentor them and help them understand that life can get better. Am I telling the truth? Life can get better. And when you give these young people an opportunity to realize their dream and understand, like what you guys are doing, you're planting seeds, you're helping young people, you're helping organizations, you're providing for them the resources that's necessary. And I always say this, if everybody on the face of this earth had the opportunity to realize their dream, what a wonderful world this place would be. It would be just like heaven on earth. Ain't that right? It would be just like heaven on earth. So what am I saying? The dream that you have to help this community. The dream, no matter how old you are, I'm 63 years old, and I just won the senior national Olympic gold medal down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Ain't that right, Nate? So what I'm saying is, no matter how young you are, no matter how old, there's still something on the inside that can help make this world a better place. Leave a legacy for our children and our children's children for thousands of years. So when we leave this earth, the people will say, you know what, I'm better because of him, or I'm better because of him. Ain't that right? So don't you give up on your dream. Don't you give up on your dream. No matter what's going on in this world, don't you ever give up on it. God bless you. Thank you.
So I'm feeling energized. I don't know about you, and I feel like you were kind of this whole year's Rotary thing. Just imagine Rotary. So I feel like you're on the same wavelength there. I see some hands up here. We'll go Nick, and then Joel and Craig, and if there's anybody on Zoom.
But I'm curious. I have remembered for point of my own driveway. Give you a little color and talk about what was going on, what was like, what we got a game on.
Okay, and before you
Did I say the number right? Oh. Yeah, did you use 3 pointers back then?
No,
Can
we
you
have.
repeat the question here for the folks on Zoom?
Oh, yeah. So, you want to know what was that day like when I scored
Yeah, what was
84
going
points?
on in that game?
Yeah.
Give a little color of what that game.
Well, I think, sometimes I would get in the zone, and I would stay off to myself, kind of focus, I meditate. And as I can remember, it was highly, first of all, the Italians are very, very hostile fans. And, and sometimes, they throw smoke bombs out on the court. So when I first got there at that game, they had already had like a whole, a line wrapped around the building to play against us. And so when I first walked in the door, there was people out there, they were, hollering and screaming and that kind of thing. And then one of them called me Speedy Gonzalez. And so And it didn't bother me then, but I did kind of get a little bit more, focused and intense because I knew that if I wasn't, then that would be intimidating to me. So I was at the top of my game. I averaged about 40 points, anyway, because I worked out twice a day, even, outside of regular practice. But that game was a very intense game. I was very focused, and we didn't have 3-point, and then also we played with the men's ball at the very beginning. So, and I was a very, 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 very intense defensive player. So I was focused on that young lady that had the ball, and I got quite a few steals. And I was able to get a lot of 3-point, like, what they call the and ones. So it was just an intense, very highly intense game. And I knew if I didn't compete well, that guy calling me Speedy Gonzalez and then calling me names, it would have been worse. So, it was an away game down in the south part of Milan, not Milan, near Eastern. Well, you got it. But anyway, it was in the southern part of Italy where it's really, really hostile. Yeah.
So, Craig and then we'll go to Joe.
Yeah, would you be one of the pioneers in the women's game? What have you seen as an evolution from the time you were playing at the high level to now with the WNBA players and the Division I college players?
Yeah, and like I said, for me to be able to play basketball, I had to play with the guys. So that's one, so now for them to have elementary, middle school, high school, college, and then scholarships and then playing pro ball all over the world. But I think what has evolved is for them to be able to learn the game and be able to not just learn the game, be able to have personal trainers, and the equipment that they have. So they have personal trainers at the age of 8, 9, and 10 years old. A young man, McKinney, he's in the 9th grade, and he's one of the top players in the country. It's because he has mentors. He has I didn't have a mentor other than I had to play against my brother. So now it's so much more that they have available, so they can grow and develop faster. But them being able to play all over the world, the game has changed a lot, of course, but the ability to be able to elevate their game at a younger age, I think has made this game a whole lot better than what it was back.
First of all, very inspirational. Thank you so much. I guess my question is about Brittany Griner. You were an international basketball star, we were going to the airport and all like that. She is over there right now. Did you know of her before this happened? Have you ever met her? Give us some insight from you about her.
Yes. So I trained my daughters to play college. I mean, to play at the age of, I started them at the age of 3 and 4. So they played college ball, and we would play against her team when she played at, I think it was Baylor. So my daughters would be playing against them, and then my daughters also played against them in the Nike tournaments. I played against her in the Nike tournaments down in Atlanta. So I don't know her. I met her, had a conversation with her, but I didn't know her other than just seeing her at the game. My take on, I really can't say too much about what happened because of course I wasn't there. I think that I really pray for her because it's the environment that she's in right now that could be, I'm sure, very, very stressful and fearful. And I think that's all I can say, because I really don't know her personally, other than my daughters playing against her in high school and college. Yeah.
Any additional questions or any questions on Zoom? Yes, Neely.
When you talk about all of your accolades and all of the travel in the world and being abroad and they're celebrating you, but most recently you got a great celebration at home.
I sure did. Yes, and thank you, sir. I did get the key to the city on Juneteenth, which was amazing. In fact, I'm just excited to see you, and I didn't even think about the key to the city, but thank you. Yeah, I did receive the key to the city. So I'm assuming I can open up the But that's a great honor. Even my granddaughters who are 5 years old, when they saw it, they were, wow, Granny. You know, so it's just something that I didn't expect it. You know, it was kind of a surprise. But even my family, you know, are very excited, you know, and they saw that honor. So it is a great honor, and I really thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
What was the game that you just recently played and you all won the championship? You did it like within the last year, right?
That was the Senior Olympics down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yes.
Yes. It's just like the World Olympics. They have the National Olympics for seniors, 50 and up, and then they also have the World Olympics, which would be, I think, somewhere in another country next year.
Well, not only do you have a record from back then, you just did this recently.
Just recently, this was in, I think it was April.
Mhm.
Yes.
You mentioned your ability both on the defensive and offensive end, and I'm wondering if there's a player in the WNBA or maybe in Division I that you think kind of plays the way you would play if you were in WNBA, you know, right now.
Curry. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was in high school, I was slam dunking. You know, and I mean, I really had it. I patterned my game after Max Johnson, Dr. J, and Nate Archibald. And there's men even now that I've played against that back in the day, you know, they have said that they've never played against, you know, a young lady like myself. So while I applaud the women's, you know, evolution and they have involved, I have not seen any young girl or lady to play the way I play. And I mean, and other people have said that as well.
So. So, thank you so much for Linnell Jones. Can you give her one more round of applause for enthusiasm? I also want to thank all of you coming and acknowledge Mayor Neely. Thank you for joining us today. You know, you always have a standing invitation. Thank you so much for the Rotarians who were in service to our club tonight. So that includes Dominique for your inspirational message. Let's see, I didn't see Dan today, but thank you for setup and takedown, Dan or whoever served in his stead. Terry, always at the registration desk, holding it down there. Joel for your bulletin notes today, and Kyle also for your speaker introduction. Next week, we are going to have a chance to hear from Dale Piper, who is a partner at 360 Interactive. So we'll get a chance to hear from one of our local small business folks here. Thank you again for being here today, for spending your Friday afternoon with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend, and as you go about the world, imagine Rotary, what it means for you, our club, our community, and our world. We are adjourned.